The next thing that's really important at the prep schools, they consider them forming schools for character. So a lot of times we think, oh man, these prep schools, they probably raise these like amazing, like nerdy kids and like super geniuses. But if you look at Trump and Obama and Biden, certainly Biden, I think it's his old age. It's not his fault. You look at George Bush or something. These are not like genius, nerdy people necessarily. They're prep schoolers like that, but they're not necessarily. They actually have a high level of character training. And this is, again, it's counterintuitive. You think, what, Trump and character? I'm not saying that they're good Christian people. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that they have all the embodied the virtues. But there are certain character traits that they do have. Like you look at a guy like Trump, he perseveres. You can say, I don't know how he takes that pressure and the attacks, and he's not freaking out and is still fighting back. He has perseverance. These are usually respectful people. Again, I'm not saying they're good people, but they understand that. They've been trained in that self-control. When I went to prep school, I'll talk about that in just a second. Self-control training was huge because it was a military academy. Courage, it takes a lot of courage to be a world leader, to be on a stage like that. To get up there and speak and to lead. So even if we don't like these people, it takes some courage, it takes some gall to step into that. Loyalty. Even though we don't like some of these people, you can say that they're loyal. You look at the Trumps, that family, very loyal to each other. You look at the Bushes. I'm not a huge fan of the Bushes, but they understand the concept of loyalty. These are honor, a system of honor, maintaining your at least appearances of honor, because they understand the importance of that as far as your reputation goes. And being respectable, not just being respectful like we teach our kids, but are you respectable? Will other people respect you? Do you have a command presence? They teach these things at the prep schools. It's all about forming character. And again, don't confuse that with Christian virtues. These aren't always virtuous people. You could see Trump at the front of an army leading troops into combat, right? Like in the old days, like the old kings. That's what we're talking about, training character for greatness. When you look at the schools right today, it's all about the niceness training, the anti-bullying, tolerance, that sort of thing. And it's not working because most of the bullying that goes on in the schools and the violence is for lack of self-control. And the public schools are really bad about training self-control. They just don't. They have no discipline in the schools. These aren't disciplined people. And the schools are totally out of control because they don't train character for greatness. That is the hallmark of a prep school education. And you got to understand, it's not just about the academic training. It's about body, mind, and spirit. You have to encompass the whole thing. You have to understand what you're training here. I'll give one example, and that is courage. You don't have to explain courage to your kids. Everybody understands you don't want to be a chicken. There's not a kid out in the world that's like, I'd rather be a coward. Like, intuitively, we understand the value of courage. So you can't just educate it academically. If you read this book, Character Development, you understand that when you train character, it's not about the books. It's not about the academics. It's not about defining the terms. Here's what courage is. It's about labors. When I joined the military, I went through some special forces training for the Green Berets. Okay, I'm not a Green Beret. Okay, I didn't finish the course. I did about a year of it, and I got a knee injury. I failed the patrol. It was rough, but I did get selected. They take an average soldier off the street, and they train that soldier, and they instill courage in it. It's not like they go out there recruiting and like you have to take a courage test. They'll take anybody. You go through the process of boot camp, and then of course special forces training, and they instill courage into you. It's something you can do. Everybody is naturally, for example, afraid of heights. It's every person on the planet is. Kids who aren't, it's because they've climbed trees and they've gotten over it, or they've jumped off of diving boards, or maybe they're older and they've jumped out of airplanes before. They've overcome the fear of heights, but it's a natural fear, and you have to build up courage for that, and you have to do it through labors. I hated heights, and I'm at special forces training, climbing the Jacob's ladder. And you're 30 feet in the air, and it's extremely stressful. Everybody's claustrophobic. So they have this tunnel you climb into, and it goes downhill. So there's no light at the end of the tunnel, and it gets tighter and tighter, and they pack multiple candidates in front of you and behind you. So it's super claustrophobic. Okay, everybody's claustrophobic, but you can train that level of courage. Everybody is afraid of public speaking. It's the fear of public humiliation. That's the fear, the number one fear, public humiliation. Everybody has that fear. In the military, they train that out of you. At prep school, they train that out of you. They put you in situations where you have to overcome. You have to speak publicly. You have to be a leader publicly. You have to risk public humiliation. And then after you do it for a while, like I do these talks, it's no big deal. I don't get nervous. It's no big deal. I've done it so many times. But I know other people, I've gone to homeschool conventions and the speakers, it's their first time and they're just horrified. They've never built up the courage muscle through labors. They understand the value of courage. Do you understand the difference? They want to be courageous. They value it, but you have to train it. through the labors, body, mind, and spirit. Talk about that more in the book, but that's something we take to the academy. We take character very seriously at the academy. Really quick, I'm going to share again, but you go into the curriculum and the master talks. We focus huge on character here. This is preschool. Now, these grades are all blacked out, or these books, because they've been done. So when you go into the academy and you finish a book, we can darken it and put a check mark there to encourage your kid to move on. But that's not what it would look like if you're just starting out. But here we start training manners right away. Manners is super important. Social etiquette. It's not some taboo that we just invented. It's like the rules of respectability. But here you have manners. This is the beginner stuff. Beginning again, talking about like Job, you've been just crushed, right, by life. To be strong, begin again. Courage isn't crazy. Explaining to kids the difference between courage and just acting crazy, doing stupid things. The value of charity, kindness moves the bear. But you can see every grade, we're introducing character concepts, explaining it, helping kids value character. Winter and Wolves, I love this one. This is probably the best book your kids could read. I love it. And here's why. Basically, you have this poor guy. His dad's so strict. I wrote this book to explain to my kids why their life is slightly different than their neighborhood friends. And this dad is so strict. He's always taking him out running and working him out and making him eat healthy and everything, make him strong. And the little boy doesn't understand. He thinks, man, my dad's just so mean, doesn't love me, like so rough on me. And then you have this other boy, and he's really pampered by his parents, and he's out here just enjoying himself, eating all the clover. And the other guy's over here in the wilderness. Like, this guy's spoiled, and this guy's, being raised for greatness, we'll say. And then later, they go out on a journey. They decide to run away. And you can see this guy, he's out of shape, he's worn out, he's weak. And this guy's alert. He's been raised for greatness. He's strong. And then they experience winter, where there's a food shortage. They're at the top of this mountain. It's cold. And of course, the weaker deer who has not been raised for greatness, he's just weak. And then, of course, there's wolves in the world. There's wolves, though it's dangerous. And so the deer who's been raised for greatness, he now understands that his dad loved him. His dad was training him for greatness so he could survive the wolves and winters of the world. Teach your children this early so they don't think your rules are just horrible. Help them understand the purpose behind the character training and why you have different rules and higher standards than other people.